at the 11th. So I just want to thank Sharada for what she has done for us this morning. And she's going to be posting my links for me. And I think she has a bio to read to get us all started. I am going to be sharing with you some practical ways to successfully start over in life. We have so many reasons that we start over. As women, we have seasons that cause us to start over again and again and again. We have jobs and careers, then we get married, then we, many times become mothers and we stay home, and that's a season of change. And then we become empty nesters. Maybe in that transition, there are job transitions, there are times that we move. We leave behind all our loved ones and friends, or maybe we even lose our loved ones and friends, whether that be through illness, divorce, death. There are all kinds of transitions and times that we as women have to start over. These include health issues as well, including menopause. So that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit today, is how to weather those storms and how to start over successfully with each one of those. There are some systems we'll put in place or talk about that can help you to get to that place of feeling successful, regardless of where you're at in your journey of life. Sharada, do you have that bio?
Yes, I do. And I have to tell you, Jeannie and I talked, and she's done so many amazing things. I was like, okay, you're going to have to write all that down for me. So hang on to your hat, because you are in for a treat. My friend Jeannie is a homestead girl from Alaska. She grew up living a vision to build a future and leave a legacy. She's been helping people set themselves up to build their future and empowering others to leave a legacy by first homeschooling her 5 children in all subjects and grade levels for 27 years. She was the first parent advisory committee chair for the largest homeschool program in the state of Alaska. She has held and trained co-ops of parents and led a team of youth to build a yearly community event, and built a yearly community event for over 600 participants. I told you, she's amazing. Jeannie has been doing grief and trauma support for a lifetime, assisting others to heal after having lost her mother as a teenager and later 4 babies herself in the 2nd trimester. She's been an Elijah House and a Healing of the Heart inner healing teacher and facilitator for over 25 years, assisting people to heal from their deepest traumas. As a businesswoman, Jeannie was the branch support supervisor for over 13 branches for the 3rd largest credit union in the nation at 20 years of age. She has owned a wireless internet company, multiple rental properties, and several MLM businesses, allowing her to take trips to amazing places. More recently, Jeannie returned to the financial world and is an SEC license and has done financial planning at a Fortune 100 company. She currently runs a commercial janitorial company, which she and her son began at 11 years ago to support our family during a divorce after 28 years of marriage. Jeannie has been a speaker on many topics on many occasions, including being asked to speak by the Lieutenant Governor of Alaska at the statewide Wellness Warriors Initiative kickoff. Jeannie is certified by the California Coaching Collaborative as a transformational life coach and owns Mindful Pivot Points Coaching, her newest endeavor. It is Jeannie's desire to pay it forward by turning around and helping others on the journey of life and rebuilding after major life events or loss. Jeannie's ability to listen and truly hear your heart and her unique way of looking at multiple facets allows her to help you discover your inner and practical roadblocks and to create a clear path with steps that you need to take to get your personalized solution activated and in motion. And as you rebuild your life with confidence and set a course for your future. Jeannie is there helping you every step of the way. And that's my marvelous friend.
Thank you, Sharada. I appreciate that very much. Um, so with that, I just, a little bit about me. So I want to talk a little bit about you, are you a woman that life has thrown you curveballs and you just never expected them? Sometimes we have confusion, chaos, and overwhelm in the midst of unexpected life-changing events or loss. And I think every woman longs for some peace and order in our life at different points as we navigate changes that are taking place, some known, some unknown, some expected, some unexpected. So, in this practical skills for truly living workshop, I'm going to help you with some easily applied practical tips to help you find strength. And you're going to learn some easily implemented daily skills so that you can begin to live and love your life again. Because without that inner peace, it's hard to do that. I want to help you find ways to confidently take on this stage of your life, whichever stage that is, with hope and freedom from the old anchors that held you back. We want those lies to die, and we want to help you step back into that place of your glorious future is ahead of you and that you're stronger than you think and that you've really got this. So I just want to share a little bit. If that resonates with you, you're in the same boat with a lot of women. We have so many things going on in our lives, whether we're mothers, whether we're businesswomen, whether we're married, whether we're single, there's just so much to life. And just last night, my daughter said, I don't like this adulting thing. Her car had broken down, and then I locked my keys in my car, and one small thing begat another small thing, and her dad had been in the ER earlier, and she had been with him, and it was just an overwhelming day. And we as women juggle a lot of things like that, and it can sometimes be really, really difficult. So I just want to share that it doesn't have to be, and it doesn't have to stay that way. There are moments, but it doesn't have to stay that way. I am sitting here in Alaska, enjoying a sunny day and living a life that I have joy, I have happiness. I am living a life that I didn't think I could live. And I just, I'm thrilled with the fact that I've been able to start over. I've been able to more than once recreate a new life when something just pulled the carpet out from under me. Um, I was in the midst. I had a marriage that was 28 years long, and there were many times that I thought, wow, this is great. And then the majority, it was not. And as I was going through a divorce that was completely unexpected on my part, but very much because I had started learning how to work on myself and accept the responsibility that I needed to accept, but also to let go of and reject that which I didn't need to carry. That started us through the course of a divorce. And my kids and I had 3 kids still at home. We were scrambling to pay bills. We were scrambling to figure out, after being a stay-at-home mom, how to support myself. And my son and I came up with the commercial janitorial company because I was homeschooling the youngest 2 still. And I did not want to throw them back into a school system. One, it's not back into, they'd never been in it. But two, my youngest daughter was 11 years old and she was dyslexic. And she would have been just heading into junior high, the most difficult transitional time for kids. And with her parents going through a divorce, it would have been incredibly traumatic. And I just refused to do that to her. So I was looking at my options and we created this business. But we were working long hours, nights and weekends, and it was just getting really hard. I was given a job opportunity, and so I took it. So now I was working 3 jobs and sleeping very little. I was getting up one morning, my body hurt. I was exhausted. I just didn't think I could do this anymore. And my first thought was, I can't, I can't do this. This is just too much for me to handle alone. And I came upstairs and I had a look on my face, and my son, who was 21, looked at me and he said, Mom, what's wrong? And I said to him, I don't think I can do this. That moment, the look on my son's face woke me up as he said, Mom, in total desperation, Mom, you can't give up. You can't give up, Mom. We need you. That brought me to tears then, and it brings me to tears now. That young man needed a mom who was going to lift her head high and stand tall and walk in what I knew to do, even though I was tired. That caused something in me to rise up and go, no, nobody else is in charge of my life. Nobody else is going to take me and my kids down by their decisions or lack thereof. And that was a turning moment for me where I went, woman, rise. You will do this and you will do it well. And you will set an example for your kids that no matter what storms life throws at you, you can not only survive them, but you can change things and get to a place of thriving within them. So I set my heart and my mind on the things that needed to be done to be able to do that and provide that for my kids. And today, the journey was not easy, but here I sit. I have wonderful friends. I have multiple streams of income. I have a life that I enjoy. Now, I'm living in a budget that is probably a third of the budget that we lived on. And I am happier than I have ever been because it's not money that makes the person. It's who you are on the inside and what you do with that. And so I want to share with you just some of those things that helped put me back on my course and helped me to realize that I have power and I have control. I have power and control over me. I don't have control over anyone else. I don't have control over life, as we found out last night. But I need to learn how to take back the control that I had in many ways given over to someone else or to many other things. Some were institutions, some were things that I set myself up for. You know, I had some belief systems that were not healthy. I think we all bring those from our childhood. We don't know what is and isn't healthy. We know what we lived, and we think that's normal. Well, normal is a dial on the washing machine. It's not really something that we can say, oh, this is normal, that is not. Normal is to be healthy, to be whole. That is normal. And we are always with the provided with the opportunity to step into that place of wholeness, of health, and of happiness. So I'm going to take the time here, and I would like you to join me to just take a pause before we move forward. That moment right there can change your life. When you learn how to respond by taking a pause versus reacting, that can change everything. How many people were reactors? Can you put that in the chat? Have you ever been a reactor to something that has come up to you? You know, I think we all have. You know, we've just reacted like, ah! But if we are doing that constantly, we are creating chaos. Maybe We are creating our own chaos. And so, one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is respond with some serious thought and mindful consideration before saying or doing anything. As ladies, we multitask. We have a gazillion thoughts going through our brain. At least I do all the time. And I can very quickly go bzz, 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 all over the place because those thoughts are there. But before something comes out of my mouth, before an action takes place, before a decision is made, we have a split second, maybe a few seconds, just a moment in time that we can pause, that we can step back and say, is that important for me to respond to now? Or can I think on that a moment? Is that something I need to do immediately? Is that really even important? And we can let it swim on by like a little fish. Up here, we have a ton of fish in the river. You can see the little fins swim on by. We can hook it in and we can deal with it, or we can let it swim on by. And that's a very, very powerful tool that we have in our tool belt. Um, Unfortunately, for many of us, that's not something we learned growing up. Like, sometimes we had very volatile or um, home situations that didn't teach us that skill to just stop and pause for a moment. So when you respond, though, rather than react, you respond with rational thought and careful consideration. You have the opportunity to stop, to go easy on yourself, and to recognize that no matter what the situation is, it's okay to wait. Many times you've been through a lot. No matter what the change, no matter the loss, whether it's family, friends, job, finances, relationships, it is hard work to start over. And you need to learn how to work smarter, not harder. And one of the ways to do that is to learn how to stop reacting and begin thinking it through and responding. Sharada, were you ever able to get that slide that I sent you? Okay, no problem. I'm just going to talk about the word think. Think. This is a word that, when I had teenagers, sometimes I felt like, particularly the boys, the girls were kind of different, but my boys, they came to a point where their elevator to their brain stopped right here, and they would speak far sooner than they would think. And so I have something that I put up on the wall that I think is really, really helpful for all of us. It was for me as much as it was for them. And so I'm going to share it with you. The word think is an acronym that helps us to remember, first of all, is it true? Is it true? You see, we want the lies that we learned from childhood experiences, the things that we started believing about ourselves, that we started believing about others and the world around us. We want those lies to die. And so we want to hold on to that which is true, because the truth is actually what sets us free from the chains that hold us back, from the chains that keep us in pain, from the chains that hold us in patterns and behaviors that are not helpful and no longer beneficial in our lives. They were helpful at some point. That was what our body was helping us and our brain was helping us to set that hedge of protection, but they become a cage. So we need to really stop and think, is it true? The other thing is it true? Are we wanting to speak it out? Our words are powerful. They have a powerful impact on people, on those around us, and even on ourselves, because we hear ourselves speak and it goes back through the loop in our brain again. So it's powerful to speak only that which is true and to act on that which is true. So the next letter is H. Is it helpful? The situation I'm in, is this a helpful thing? Because if it's not helpful, if it's not going to be a part of the solution, then it's a part of a problem. And we do not want to step into that place where we're perpetuating bigger problems. Last night, I perpetuated a bigger problem. Thank you. My daughter had car issues and I went to help her. We had to push her car out of the driveway to the side of the road, which was a downhill slight, decline. It was relatively easy to do. But in order to do it, I took the keys that were in my hand, tossed them in the front seat of my car, closed the door, and helped her push her car. Somehow in that process, my car hit the lock button on the remote attached to my keys and locked my keys in my car, which I was going to take her home to pick up another car. Now we have 2 cars that are inaccessible. So was that a helpful thing for me to do? Yeah, not so much. It seemed right at the moment as I was reacting, but if I'd stopped and taken a moment to respond, I would have simply set them down rather than tossing them. So sometimes we create problems more for ourselves because we're doing things that aren't actually helpful. All's well that ends well. I, after some sleep, a little bit of trauma and drama last night, I remembered where the spare key was and the other remote, but I couldn't find it last night. So just another thought for the eye. Is it inspiring? Does it give you something that wells up in within you from the deep core within you? Does this inspire me to do something? Is it important and inspiring? Because there are a lot of things that come at us in life that are not important. And if they're not important, if they are not inspiring, if they are not helping to propel us forward, we need to, again, stop and think, do I really need to be doing this right now? Or am I bringing on more stress for myself? So is it inspiring? Does it have enough to cause us to step into it and to take on that task? The next one is it necessary? Again, so many things. Now, I own a commercial janitorial company, and there is a balance in some things. Is it necessary in this moment? Some things are necessary over the course of time. Some things are not. I step into places on a regular basis where this is necessary to do these particular steps in this particular order at this moment in time, but they don't need to be done again for a period of time. There are other times where somebody has not done something for a very long time. We all have garbage in our minds, garbage in our hearts, garbage in our house, garbage in our car. I do anyway. And so there's a time that it is necessary to spend some time clearing those things and dealing with them. But taking that moment to go, is this the time that it is necessary to do that? And if this is not the time, setting aside some time and going, okay, mental note, this goes on my to-do list to fit on my calendar or on my to-do list in a top position, a middle position, a low position, because it's important, but it's not necessary right now. And then, of course, the K is it kind? Are you being kind to yourself? This is something that as women, we forget. We take care of everybody else. We nurture our children. We encourage our spouse or our significant others. We volunteer in the community, the school. We do all these things, and we are thoughtful and kind to everyone else while we neglect ourselves and we are not taking care of our own needs. So it's really important as you are transitioning, actually, as you are living daily life, that you are kind to yourself first. The airplane, you get on the airplane and they say, please, if the mask drops down, put the mask on yourself first and then help everyone else. This is one of those tools. Put the mask on yourself first of kindness. This includes your thoughts. When you're beating yourself up with your thoughts, that is not being kind. Would you speak to your best friend that way or someone that you respect and admire? Being kind is something that you do to the person that you respect and admire. So I want you to be bold about being kind to yourself as you transition and you begin to build again. This is one of the most important times of being kind because you need self-care while you are rebuilding. If you were to hit literally building a house, if you were hammering away and building and you hit your thumb, that would remind you that you need to be slowing down and taking care of yourself and moving things out of the way before the impact creates more pain. That's being kind to yourself. So when you work on this kindness, first from the inside with your thoughts and how you process with your heart, you will succeed. So let the law of kindness be on your lips and in your mind towards yourself and others, and let it go. I know how hard that is, but let it go. Take a moment to think about all the things that you have not done right. You know, we fail, we fall short, we make mistakes. We are human. Go figure, we're human. Can you post in the chat one way that you are human and that you can learn to be kind to yourself? You don't need to share this, but is there anything that you need to forgive yourself for? Maybe you're carrying around an anchor that says, well, I messed up in this way, and this is all my fault. I carried that anchor for a long time. I was not it was not a pleasant departure um, in our relationship. And I was ashamed and embarrassed by my own behavior and how I handled things. And so I let that hang over me for a long time. I had to learn how to forgive myself for being human, for being at a point of breaking, and I literally did break, um, and let myself let it go and understand that that's part of being human, is that we have a breaking point. We all have a breaking point. And so allowing ourselves the freedom to forgive ourselves allows us to cut the ties to the anchor and move forward and let it go. Thank you for sharing. There's not overworking, expecting myself to do it all or do it all really well. That perfectionism, that's a killer. That is not a helpful thing for success, not truly. And same, not expecting perfection for even a single moment. It's true. That is just one of the biggest killers that we as women have. That perfectionism, that pleasing others, that putting ourselves on the back burner, that all needs to be in its proper place. It's a good thing to be very meticulous and careful when you're doing something. It is not a good thing to judge yourself when you're doing it to your level of ability, which is not the same level of ability as the next person next to you. It's okay. Let it go. So next, what you need to do when we've started working on responding rather than reacting, that's step one. But then we need to evaluate. Evaluate is something that we need to do to reconnect with the real you and your own desires, your dreams, and your goals. I want you to take a moment and think about that. What are some of my desires, my dreams, and my goals that I used to have, but I've given up hope on? You see, I had done that. I had put 6 other people ahead of me, and I had given up even beginning to dream of doing the things that I had wanted to do. And I had to learn how to reconnect with myself on the deep inner places and reconnect with my own desires. I could tell you everything that my children liked to eat and did not like to eat. And this one had this and that, and all their preferences and their sports and their shoe sizes. And I could tell you all of those things, and I could not tell you what I liked. I had learned not to care about what I liked anymore. And I had to relearn and redevelop and connect with myself, with my own desires. my own vision, dreams, and goals. And I want to encourage you to take time to do the same. There are a number of ways to do it, but let's just talk due to time. Let's just talk a little bit about, first of all, what are your values? What are your core values? I really value honesty. I value integrity and actions and words matching. I value character. I want to know that when someone makes a commitment, myself included, that that commitment is going to be honored, that it's not just words, that it's actually all in line with my values and that character and integrity that I want to live by. So I had to reevaluate, where have I gotten out of alignment with those things? What do I need to pull back in? Where are the places where I have lost myself? So that's part of evaluating. Also, I have always wanted to dot, 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 fill in the blank. Can you pop that in the chat? What is something you have always wanted to do and you haven't yet done it? Okay, I want to learn to throw pots. That's like clay pottery. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of things and they are, some of them are still on my list, but I am checking them off. I am checking them off regularly. Travel to Thailand and India. Yes, I'd love that. I love to travel. So, those are things that sometimes we've lost touch of, and we have to learn how to dream again. And in the rebuilding process, another thing to evaluate is, what are my natural strengths and what are my learned skills? What are the things that I am really good at already? Things that came naturally to me, things that maybe didn't come so naturally, but I loved them and I worked hard and I was dedicated to learning them. Those are amazing skills as well. What are the things that you have poured your heart and soul into previously, or that came naturally? Those are some skills that you can build on. When I was going through the divorce, the thing that I stepped back and went, okay, what can I do? I can teach and I can clean up after others. It wasn't that I didn't teach my family how to clean, but nobody could do it like mom, right? And what I in evaluating, I stepped back and I looked at, okay, if I were to go to the Anchorage School District where I live and look at getting a job, even though I had at that point like 25 years of experience, well, maybe 23 years of experience at that point, I did not have certifications. And so I would have been put most likely into a very entry level pay scale and position. Someone else would dictate my time. I would have to put my kids in school because I would have no time left, and I would still not be paying my bills. So I looked at that and went, not the best scenario. Let's look over here, cleaning up after people. Thus, my janitorial company was born. I worked with a friend who had a friend that was going to mentor her. And I said, can I be mentored too? He had a business for 30 years. Look at the people and relationships that you have that could match with your skills. And so my friend and I worked together with him. We discussed starting a business together, but we were both going through divorces. It wasn't really wise at that point, because of the personalities we were both dealing with. And so we didn't do that, but I continued on and we built that business, my son and I together. And we have been doing that for 11 years, passing the baton back and forth as to who's at the helm at different points in time. So it's not that that actually totally turns my crank and gets me fired up with joy and love. And I mean, tell me, do you want to be the porcelain queen? It wasn't ever something I wanted to do, but for the moment and for the time, it was a fabulous opportunity to start a business. I could meet my goals of being able to be there for my kids when they were going through a very traumatic time in life. I could still continue to educate my daughters because we would work evenings and weekends, and I could be there for them during the day, and I could make money. Who doesn't want a house cleaner? Who doesn't have an office? Every office building needs to be cleaned and have their trash emptied. What an opportunity. Now, that opportunity was what cranked me up because it helped me to meet my goals. So take a look at those skills, those things that help you to be able to step into the future that you envision. So, are you willing to re envision the future for you? Whether that is reestablishing relationships, whether that is um, reconnecting with people or a love and a desire that you had in the past? What are you willing to re envision for your future? Spend some time and make a list. You'd be surprised. And don't stop with just a couple things. Make a list that keeps going. And the third thing is establish boundaries. I want to talk about boundaries because this is where personal health, personal mental well being, and your daily practices are so important. Boundaries keep you on track and focused on what is truly important. These boundaries are actually for you, not for others. I can tell you that I got boundaries mixed up. I think many times we do. A boundary isn't, you will do this. A boundary is, they determine how I will respond when there's overwhelm or chaos and the steps that I will take to correct that. See, we can be more resilient when we take personal responsibility for what is taking place around us. And when you're resilient, you know how you're going to move forward no matter what comes your way. Resilience comes from having boundaries. So, a boundary in its proper application is, this is who I am, those values and those things that we're being kind to ourselves and to others, and how we are going to operate. This is how I want to be known, operating in those places, and thus I will. For example, thus I will walk away anytime you speak to me in that manner. It's not a matter of telling someone else what they will do. It's a matter of saying, this is what I will do when this situation arises. This is a really critical part about starting over in a job situation, in family relationships, in, significant other relationships, even after loss. I will allow myself a time to really mourn and share with others the grief and the pain and the trauma of what I've just gone through. The death of a loved one, the death of a marriage and the future you envisioned, those deserve a time of grief and a time of mourning. But that is not in exclusion to, I will continue to live life. I will continue to love myself and love others. I will step into that place of becoming the best version of myself in spite of what life has thrown my direction. So when we think about this, we truly are the only ones that can be in control of how we react or respond, the things that we are in charge of as to what direction and the course that we set for our future, and the resilience that we will have. Many times it's important that we have things lined out in advance. If this happens, I can do this. If this happens, I will do this. If this happens, I will not do that. And so those are very practical ways that we can take a moment. And it does help to write it out on paper. Sometimes it's pros and cons that we need to look at to help us make a decision, but writing things down and helping us to get really clear helps us to be far more resilient. With these things in mind, you can begin to make really thoughtful decisions for how you're going to proceed forward and rebuilding the future that you actually want versus the one that is given to you. You know, we don't control a lot of life, but there are things that we are in control of and we can direct them. Maybe we can't direct everyone else, but we can direct our own steps. So, just a couple bonus thoughts in practicalities, some daily practices. Control your mind, really focus on getting your mind clear before you make a decision. Food, healthy food. Our bodies function when we are nourished with healthy food. Junk food along the way when you're in chaos is not going to help. It's going to compound the problem. Sleep. I know that we can endure some things for a while, and I am the cat nap queen. Let me tell you, I would much rather have a 15 to 20-minute cat nap than a cup of coffee when I am finding that I am running low. So think about those things. Am I getting enough sleep? I want you to think about creating your ideal schedule, including some me self care time, whatever that looks like for you, and make the most of the moments. For me, self care is as a mom of 6 kids, self-care was when the baby sleeps, I sleep. Self-care now is an Epsom salts bath with candles and, maybe a glass of wine when I'm stressed or have exerted myself a great deal. Um, Maybe sometimes it's just because I have a moment. So think of some of those things that you can do some self-care. The most powerful thing is your first thought of the day. Put a reminder on your phone that says, and this is what I did after my son absolutely was terrified that I was going to do something horrible. I wasn't, but I just was exhausted and voiced it. But I realized I have to take my first thoughts of the day captive and put those in motion. So instead of, oh my gosh, it's another day. I can't do this. I can't do this. I switch that to, this is the day I have with my kids to show them how I can do this and how we will do this. And we are going to do this. I started every, now I've done this for a long time. I started the days, but I got buried in the chaos and the exhaustion. But for years, and again, I start the day with, Lord, will you lead me, guide me, set your protection around me, and number and order my steps in my day so that it's nothing is wasted. That sets me up for putting things in order and just stepping back and being able to breathe and know that there are things I'm not in control of, but it's okay because I've let it go. But I've also put it in the proper place of someone who could take care of it better than I can. But I also put a reminder on my phone. It to this day pops up 9:30. You can do this. You've got this. Because we need an encouraging voice speaking to us. And when nobody else is doing that, we do that to ourselves. And I let my phone do it. I have reminders all throughout the day that tell me, you can do this. What do you need to let go of? What are you resisting? This is a good day. So that helps me to keep things on target. And actions speak louder than words. And the very small step that you take gets you to the goal. It puts you on the right path. It gets you where you need to go. Never underestimate the power of just one simple small step taken regularly. You can go miles. You can run marathons if you want to run a marathon. You can simply rebuild and recreate anything one step at a time with a little bit of thought and consistent application. So, with those thoughts in mind, how would you like to find your heart visions again? I struggled to do this for years. I just didn't even know how to do that. Would you like to learn how to dream again? Or learn how to stand up for yourself and take your voice back as you build a new future and create a new you? Maybe you speak up in a meeting. Maybe you say no to somebody in that you love, but needs to have an appropriate boundary. How would you feel to be supported as you travel the journey of rebuilding and have a confidential brainstorming partner to help you build a new roadmap for your future that only you envision and can enact? What does your future and your new you look like? Let's take a moment to just imagine that. Can you close your eyes and think, what does my future and my new me look like? Where am I going to travel? What am I going to do? What have I always desired to be good at, but I've not allowed myself time for? Those are some of the things that you can begin to experience as you rebuild your life. When we slow down and learn how to address the things that are truly within us, we begin to expand and we begin to draw in and we begin to receive that which is available to us. So I want to invite you. I have a Facebook group that I'd love for you to join in just to receive encouragement and with other ladies that are in the group as well. But I also have scheduled some time for a clarity breakthrough session, 30 minutes in your day. If you want to just have a clarity breakthrough session, we can talk about some of the things that help you create a mini plan, just a mini plan. Remember those small steps to move forward in your future. I have a program coming up, but it's not available now, but we can get you started with that mini plan. The link is in the chat. And so if you're interested at all in becoming the new you from the inside out, both within your very core of your being, from your heart, and renewing your mind into all of the possibilities, I encourage you to schedule a time with me. We'll have a call to get to know one another and see what we can come up with as a brainstorm session for you to help you start your course to a new future and a new you. I hope these practical steps have helped you. I know they are things that have been tried and true. I have other systems that can go in place, but that's just a little taste of the practical woman starting over and succeeding. And I want to see you doing the same thing. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Jeannie. That was amazing.
Thank you so much, Jeannie.
What an inspiring story.
Thank you. I'm just really pleased that you all stuck with me.
Of
Yeah,
course.
no, thank you. A lot of great stories and really
Mhm.
interesting, very inspirational. So thank you.
Yes,
You're
what a powerful life experience you bring.
You know
Thank
what,
you.
girls, since we're going to do maybe a little Q&A, I'm just going to turn the recording off so we don't have